So, I slept on it. I watched back a lot of that game. And the only thing that I took from it is that Christie Sides is the worst coach in professional basketball. And that is not like, maybe professional sport. And that is not something that I say lightly. Like, she might be the worst coach in professional basketball. And this isn't just benching Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was not great yesterday. At the same time, like, look, she struggled mightily against Dejanay Carrington and Lainey Hamilton. They're the only two defenders I've seen so far that are quick enough to guard her, but also physically stronger and able to bully her a little bit. Everyone else, she either has the size, the height advantage, the quickness advantage, or the strength. And even the strength advantage just isn't as much of a strength disadvantage. And they're probably the two that can really, really, like, get the better of her. But still, 10 points in a half isn't bad at all. But I've never seen a coach actively put players in a position to fail as much as Christie Sides. First of all, okay, she brought Christy Wallace and Erica Wheeler with her from Atlanta. Doesn't mean you have to play them. They're both terrible. Like, look, Wallace isn't the worst player in the world, but is she better than Lexi Hull? Maybe not. Is she better than Celeste Taylor? I don't know. I don't know if she's better than Celeste Taylor. Celeste Taylor in a few minutes looked better than Christy Wallace has all season. But again, you can never tell how somebody plays in garbage time. Because again, garbage time, Aaliyah Boston looked unbelievable. You've literally got, like, you got a whole bunch of players that have played for the likes of Dawn Staley, Lisa Bluder, Gino, like, I played at UConn, played under Kim Mulkey, like, played under actual basketball coaches. And then you've got, like, an equivalent of a parent who doesn't know anything about the sport coaching their 13-year-old's team. Like, that's genuinely what it's like. Like, their offense is literally, like, it's, again, I'm convinced she's throwing games because their offense against the Mystics had some creativity to it. At the same time, the only time their offense looked anyway decent this season, that's not in garbage time. Because everyone's being like, oh, when Caitlin Clark's not on the floor at the end of these games, they look better. It's like, well, yeah, the other team put their third stringers on against All-Star starter Aaliyah Boston. Like, I'm sorry, if she couldn't score on the third string center, there'd be something very, very wrong. But the best their offense looked was against Washington, where Caitlin Clark just ran around in circles for 75% of the time. Like, they literally started Clark running around in circles, and then Caitlin Clark just decided, screw this, I'm just going to start shooting step-back threes. Like, they do not run screens. They don't run screens going left. And I get it, Aaliyah Boston doesn't know how to set a screen. But they don't run screens for Caitlin Clark going left. If Caitlin Clark goes left, she's a threat to shoot from the logo. When she's going left, it means they have to blitz. They have to blitz the screen going left. And if you blitz a screen going left, it leaves you in a 4-on-3 opportunity. If you're not able to draw something up out of that to get your team a good look, you are an incompetent coach. The problem is that we can't even see it because she has Caitlin Clark going right every single time. She's literally making players play to their weaknesses. She has Caitlin Clark on the left-hand side of the floor where she is useless. Like, Caitlin Clark is useless on the left-hand side of the floor because she can't come off the pin down, which is only one pin down, and shoot the ball. She can't come off the pin down. The only way that she can come off the pin down the left-hand side of the floor and shoot is if she comes off it, the defender jumps the screen, and then they reverse the screen and basically throw us almost a skip pass for her to shoot it. I think she hit one. That's where she got her shot against Liberty. Like, she's useless on that side of the floor. And that's where she's being put. Aaliyah Boston is... Why is Aaliyah Boston the one setting the screens? Aaliyah Boston can't set a screen. She's the worst roller I've ever seen. But you know what Aaliyah Boston's really good at, as we saw? She's very, very good at, when she gets the ball, hitting cutters out of the post. She's a very good passer out of the post. That's genuinely the only thing Aaliyah Boston's good at. Then why, when things slow down, is Aaliyah Boston not getting the ball in the post? Why is she being run as a pick and roll big? She can shoot the ball a little bit. Run the pick and roll with Alyssa Smith. Why not run it with her? And if the pick and roll doesn't work, have some sort of an offensive set where you can run the pick and roll with Caitlin Clark. If the pick and roll doesn't work, it resets into a post touch with Aaliyah Boston. Why is it literally every single offense that the Fever run, if they're all quick hitters, they're quick hitters where if the first option doesn't work, then we may as well just stop running the play. Which leads to, when Caitlin Clark's off the ball, her just being told, Caitlin, go stand in the corner. And then, if the quick hitter doesn't work, the ball goes into Kelsey Mitchell and she does a Geo Wise impression. It is the, I genuinely think you could bring in a coach from a different sport that has never played basketball before, and you could show them a couple of basketball clips. I think you could bring in Jesse Marsh. He's a football coach. He definitely knows something about basketball because of the way his mentality towards football of shrinking the floor is definitely some basketball logic. You could bring in Jesse Marsh, never coached basketball in his life, probably knows a little bit about the sport, and I can guarantee you Jesse Marsh should come up with something more creative than Christie Sides has. It's a joke. It's a joke. Like, this team has come out against the last two good teams they've played, and from minute one accepted they had lost. They had accepted that they had lost. And is that on the players? Sure. It's definitely partially on the players. But look, you can't be motivated for a game when your coach appears to have given up. It's very clear that every bit of creativity that she has goes into playing against the scrub teams. She really doesn't want to lose to Washington. She really doesn't want to lose to Chicago. The team actually runs some stuff against them. But when she's playing against the Sun or the Liberty, she just goes, you know what, we're going to run the same crappy offenses that lost us by 30 last time. Like, even the first game of the year, they were terrible. The Fever were terrible against the Sun. If Carrington didn't cramp up, she was clamping Caitlin Clark. So, Carrington is probably the toughest matchup for Clark. So what do? They don't put Clark in any situations where she can shake Carrington. She can't shake her. That stagger screen, if they try to fight over that double stagger screen, you've either got two of the worst screen setters in the world or someone else is going to be wide open. They can't blitz it, they can't do anything, but they stopped running the set. The most effective set with Caitlin Clark as a ball handler was the set with her on the left-hand side, coming off a stagger screen where she came off the second one, and most of the time she was hitting passes, but some of the time she was able to turn the corner and get a layup. It worked so well against the Seattle Storm. That was the best, and it worked against the Sparks as well when Clark had 30. That is the best set with Caitlin Clark as a ball handler they have, and they have not ran it since the Chicago game. I know they've only played 3 games, but they have not ran it. And if you want Caitlin Clark going right, you cannot just leave her on a freaking island because Aaliyah Boston can't set a screen. That's not on her. That's not on her, by the way. Aaliyah Boston's not a good screen setter, and that's not a knock on Aaliyah Boston. Like, Caitlin Clark's a terrible mid-range shooter. Like, every player in the game, in the team has flaws. The problem is that this is literally what they're doing. They're allowing Caitlin Clark to. They're not letting her play her game. She's not allowing Aaliyah Boston to play her game. I don't know what Christie Wallace's game is. She's allowing Kelsey Mitchell to not play her game. When Kelsey Mitchell goes one dribble to the basket, shoots open jump shot, she's really good. When Kelsey Mitchell does a Geo-wise impression when she thinks she's Julian Newman, she sucks. She's allowing Kelsey Mitchell to be Julian Newman. She's not allowing Caitlin Clark actually go left. She's not getting Aaliyah Boston anywhere near enough post touches. And at the same time, the problem with the starters is no one on starters really cuts. And that is the one problem with Caitlin Clark is that. But at the same time, like, with the way she's being defended, if she cuts, she probably brings 2 bodies into Aaliyah Boston. That starting lineup is terrible. It's terrible. Tammy needs to come back. And you need Van Lay back. But still, any coach that sits in a 2-3 zone where they don't match up at the pro level is incompetent. Like, she's leaving every single player. She's making every single player look badly. And I don't think it's any of the fault of any of the players last night. Like, Caitlin Clark was terrible. Nalissa Smith was terrible. Kelsey Mitchell was terrible. Aaliyah Boston, outside of her cooking the third stringers and when the starters gave up at the end of the game, until the third quarter where she played her way in, she was terrible through 3 quarters. And then you've also got, like, cool, Lexi Hull was okay, I guess. Like, Grace Berger, people saying, oh, Grace Berger's +8, she was the best player on the court. It's like, no, she literally was +8 against the third stringers. Celeste Taylor looked fine. But this team needs major changes. And look, I've been reading through all forum posts. People thought that she was incompetent last year. Like, people thought Christie Sides was incompetent last year. And obviously, she's no better, if not worse, this year. There's now more of a spotlight. People wanted her fired last year, and now there's more of a spotlight. She is completely, like, incompetent is the only way I can describe Christie Wallace. She is terrible. She is absolutely terrible. She's the worst coach I've seen in professional sports. And I watched a year and a bit. Was it a year and a bit? Maybe just over a year. Maybe it was just a year. But I watched a year of Jesse Marsh ball. And I'm telling you, she's the worst coach I've ever seen.